Zack Polanski went on Piers Morgan, and I've never been excited and genuinely impressed by a interview on Piers Morgan. Zack did amazing. He eviscerated, completely humiliated Piers Morgan, and I think Piers Morgan recognized that. Let's get straight into the video.
Of Israel's war in Gaza, and as a consequence have been designated a terror organization. More than 2,000 people have been arrested at demonstrations across the UK. You oppose this categorization. Why?
It's absolutely outrageous. We're seeing 89-year-olds with walking sticks and wheelchairs being arrested. The conversation we just had about whether
if they were carrying, just on that point, if they were carrying Hamas flags, would you accept they should be arrested?
Well, I think that's a completely separate...
Well, no, but it's a hypothetical, but I want to understand that it's not about whether they're 89 years old, is my point. It's what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone should be carrying a Hamas flag.
But if your 89-year-old you're talking about was carrying a Hamas flag at a protest rally, would you accept that there was a right to arrest them?
I think arresting anyone for carrying a flag is probably a silly way.
In other words, the point I'm making is the age is kind of irrelevant. It's what they're doing.
Well, I think the real point here is that we need to see a free Palestine. We know that a lot of the population in this country, the majority of the population, are disgusted by what they're seeing, and they're disgusted at what they're seeing as a genocide. And rather than worrying about the flags or the words, I think the government need to worry about the bombs, the fighter jet components they're selling, which are literally raining down on the Palestinian people. And I think it's all.
But as somebody who wants to be a British Prime Minister, I presume at some stage, otherwise why go into politics? You'd like to leave the country.
Well, at the moment, I'm focused on getting more MPs and challenging the Labour government.
But you don't become a politician not to one day lead your country.
You're not going to encourage me.
See, he doesn't want to talk about the complicity of the British government in the Gaza genocide. All distraction. That's all he does. Piers Morgan, pure deflection, because all he's interested in is gotchas, the cultural stuff, and Zack is here to talk about genocide, inequality, and cost of living. He doesn't want to hear it.
To do a Jo Swinson on your show, Piers. So
I can't even remember what Jo Swinson did.
She said that she was going to be Prime Minister and promptly lost her seat.
Well, do you not want to be?
At the moment, I'm really, really focused on the central mission, which is we just got 90,000 members.
You're a bit
of
a straight talker. Zack.
I am a completely straight talker.
Well, do you want to be Prime Minister or not?
I want to make sure that there's a Green Prime Minister in the future. Whether that's me or not, that's going to be for the British public to decide.
I'm trying to work out the headline is Zack Polanski, I do not want to be Prime Minister,
that's
or I do.
Not the headline.
Or
the headline is right now I'm focused on growing those 90,000 members. We've got nearly 2 million votes.
But ultimately you want power, otherwise you can't do anything.
Yes, I absolutely want to see a Green
Otherwise
government.
you're just talking.
Right.
So a politician obviously needs the mechanism of power, otherwise you can't do anything you're talking about.
Yes.
Totally, but at the same time...
So de facto, you want to be Prime Minister, don't you?
Well,
otherwise how can you do anything?
At the moment, I'm focused
otherwise,
on...
why am I interviewing you? Oh, seriously. Why would I listen to a word you say?
So you only interview people who want to be Prime Minister at the next general election?
No, he interviews all kinds of people. See, he's such a fucking idiot, Piers Morgan.
If you genuinely don't aspire for power, you can't do any of the things you're talking about.
I really want to see a Green government. I really want to see a Green Prime Minister. Whether that person is me or not, I think is a separate conversation.
Why wouldn't it be you then?
Because at the moment we've only got 4 MPs, and even as the leader of the party, I don't expect to be in power at the next election.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't think there'll be a Green government, because I don't think there'll even be a Nigel Farage reform government.
Singular lack of ambition.
Well, no, because we have a first past the post
I have
system.
a postcard on my desk in my office, and it was given to me by my mother, and it's a hippopotamus flying with a flock of seagulls, and the headline, ambition knows no bounds.
Right.
What the fuck is going on? See, this is how Zack is getting these people, the establishment, rattled. Like, he'd rather talk about this fucking stupid postcard than inequality.
That's fueled me my entire life. Why would you be so lacking in ambition?
I'm deeply ambitious. I want to make sure that the Green Party is in the balance of power. At the next election, we'll be calling for a wealth tax, proportional representation, and action on the climate crisis. I think that's pretty ambitious.
Do you think the British people are going to be supporting and voting for somebody who thinks it's okay to go and...
See, don't address what he says about cost of living inequality, cost of living crisis that people are really reeling about. No, just pure distraction.
Smash up planes at RAF bases, planes which are used by us to defend our country.
I think the British public will absolutely support someone who says that we stand against this genocide and we stand against the non-violent right.
Well, the UK government has not categorised it as genocide, and there's a reason for that, as you know, right? And the reason for that is that there has never been an established genocide by the International Court, ever.
I mean, it's incoherent to not call this a genocide.
Well,
anyone can look on the
Rwanda,
phone
for
or
example,
their TV screens. It's a
Rwanda, it was
genocide,
determined, was never actually determined to be a genocide. The bar for a genocide is incredibly high. That's why I've resisted using that word.
Okay.
I think I prefer the...
Well, remember you used it in the case of Ukraine, and then you flip flop because oh no, I can't say that now because I don't want to upset Zionists and Israelis.
The word ethnic cleansing for what's going on. I think the word genocide gets tossed around. It was tossed around within days of October the 7th, which I found nonsensical.
Well, let's start from first principles. If there's an ethnic cleansing going on, should we not stop it?
Yes.
Well, I think then the word...
I think words do matter.
Well, of course they matter.
Yeah.
And I think it's very clearly a genocide. And by the way, most genocide scholars
But why would you
me.
not think that actually breaking into bases illegally, causing millions...
See, he can't actually address anything he's saying. Plenty of legal scholars, genocide scholars, deem this as the UN. Why not address that? Because he can't. Because he can't really reject the academic consensus.
Millions of pounds worth of damage to planes is not an act of terror.
Because there's a genocide going on, or as you call it, an ethnic cleansing.
But that's
whatever you name it.
whataboutery. I'm talking about
Well,
what
no,
they
I don't
actually
think
did.
it's whataboutery at all. I think that's the British public saying if our politicians are not going to listen to us, we're going to take non-violent direct action.
Well, it wasn't non-violent. It was literally breaking up planes.
I don't think the plane's going to cry from its hurt wounds. I think this is ultimately about...
Yeah, he would have said this about the suffragettes who burned down libraries, post offices, smashed windows. You know, he would have been like, these women are going too hysterical. They're going too far. But now he will, well, later on, cry about women's rights. Which one is it, Piers?
Well, £7 million worth of taxpayer money was taken to repair the damage to these planes.
What was that plane going to do, Piers?
My point
what
is
was that plane going to do?
All sorts of things.
Possibly go and kill people, right? And drop bombs.
Possibly defend the country against an attack, as it did in World War II, as it might do if Vladimir Putin decides to fire some rockets our way. The idea that the RAF only do things that you don't like or agree with is insulting.
Well, I think you put words in my mouth. I think the RAF do
That's what you're
lots to defend
implying. You
our
said, what
country.
do they do? It's an RAF plane. What do you think they do?
Well, when we're supplying RAF planes to Gaza and to share intelligence and fly over while we're massacring people, on average, a classroom of children are dying every single day. I think it's about getting back to those first principles that all of this is happening. It's happening in
So
our
you
name.
would ground all RAF planes now?
From being involved with the genocide, absolutely.
Where would you allow them to be involved?
Well, if they're defending our country, as you said, but as far as I
Where
know at
else?
the moment, we're not being
Would you allow them
invaded.
to be involved in any overseas military
Well, I
action?
think there is a question about Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Syria, all places we've had interventions in, and all places, in fact, Iraq that you famously opposed, and quite rightly too, where we've actually made things worse. So I'm not a pacifist. I think there are times when we do need to get involved with war, where we do need to make sure we're defending our own country. But I don't see any of that applying in Palestine.
You see, if I take your 89-year-old, I have a problem just with the free speech thing and the way it's going in this country. Right? It seems to me ridiculous. When Graham Linehan was arrested at an airport by
Sounds like you don't, but you will defend incitement of violence.
5 armed police for jokes on X.
Not jokes. He's a hate monger. He's a massive transphobe, massive turf. No, he incited violence. You don't get to condemn other violence towards private property and then say, oh yeah, you can assault trans women in public toilets. That's fucking disgusting.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I think they were armed because he was in an airport.
I've heard that argument. Actually, there are many unarmed cops at the airport. So they're not
But there's most cops in the airport are armed, right? When you
many
look
are
around,
armed
most
and
people
many are
have got
not
guns.
armed. So I think it's a bit of a fatuous.
Do you really think, though, they said, we've got Graham Linehan, let's go get
I don't know
some
why they're
weapons?
arresting any British citizen for jokes on X. It's ridiculous.
I think
Because they incited violence in the same way Lucy Conley incited violence too, and pleaded guilty to it, inciting racial hatred.
you're talking about punching someone in the balls.
it was an obvious joke, wasn't it?
I don't think it's funny.
No, a massive transphobe who constantly harasses people for just simply being trans. No, actually.
Though,
Have you been to a Ricky Gervais show?
Okay, let's start with this.
Well, hang on.
I'm gay. Hate crime against LGBT
Have you
people
been
has
to
gone
a
up
Ricky?
Yes, does he incite violence towards trans people? Yes, I would condemn that as well. What's the point? Again, no argument, no point.
125%
Have you been to a Ricky Gervais
in the
show?
last 5 years.
So Ricky Gervais should be arrested.
I would rather...
Such a straw man. No argument against incitement towards trans women. So just, Ricky Gervais. He has nothing.
pinch my eyes out than go to see a Ricky Gervais show. But that's fine.
That's fine.
Ricky Gervais is entitled to go make those jokes.
He's actually hilarious.
Jokes and inciting violence are very different things. And I think we've got to have a line. You'd agree there's a line, right?
I think it was obvious the joke he was making.
No, not
Punching
really.
people in the balls.
Yeah. Well, let me ask
What's
you.
the joke?
The build up to that joke was he does not believe that biological men should be using women's spaces. Do you?
I think the phrase biological men needs unpacking.
Not really. You're either born male or female.
Yes, and then lots of
agree?
people transition and lots of people identify as other things. I think.
No, sex is a bimodal distribution. It's complicated. But again, his brain cannot comprehend the nuance of gender and sex. He just isn't able to comprehend it.
Oh, yeah, but this idea you can become a
You
woman.
want to talk about free speech, but what about tolerance? You know, for a long time.
Yeah, but what about women's rights?
Well, women's rights are totally.
Yeah, trans women. Well, yeah, what about trans women's rights? What about their right to freedom and not be smeared and lied about? Yes, I agree, Piers.
Fine. In fact,
Well, they're not, though, are they? They've come under massive attack.
I would say they're totally fine.
Mainly because
you didn't let me finish the sentence.
Yeah.
They're totally
haven't.
fine in reference to trans people. The
They're
problems
totally
that women
fine.
have, gynecology appointments that they need, the gender pay gap, violence against women and girls,
Right.
Domestic.
Yeah, he's not talking about that. Piers Morgan never talks about that, does he? Interesting. Why? Only wants to bash trans women? Trans people? Oh, pardon me.
Abuse. These are the problems. These aren't the problems of trans people.
But do you think trans
These are the
athletes
problems of cis men.
should trans athletes be in women's sport?
Yes.
What?
If a trans athlete is a
nonsense.
woman, then of course they should be in the sport that they're
But
participating
they're not a
in.
woman, they're a man.
Well,
No, by definition, gender. See, this is the question. If you want to ask a question, what does gender mean? What does gender mean? They shut up pretty quickly because they know gender is a set of social expectations that isn't directly linked to biology. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's only asking this question because he doesn't want to talk about inequality because he is an establishment mouthpiece.
I think that's deeply offensive to
They're born biological men. They can call themselves trans women. I'll respect them. If they want to be called
Sounds like you don't respect them.
she or he, that's fine. I don't care. But what you can't have
You
is
do care.
biological males competing in women's sport. Everybody with half a brain knows this is completely outrageous, wrong, dangerous, as we saw in the Paris Olympics, where you had a boxer quitting after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard in the ring by somebody, it turns out, has male chromosomes.
That's not true. That is not true. That's a lie. Again, just lying, smearing trans people. Doesn't give a shit about the truth. Just wants to harm trans people for the culture war because people, for reasons. He wants to get clicks and money.
You want to be Prime Minister of this country, or maybe you don't, we're not sure. But either way, you want to lead a party in this country that thinks that's fine.
I'm glad that you think this is the number one issue when I actually want to talk about the cost of living crisis and inequality.
Yeah. I think it's actually a much more important issue.
Let's talk about sports.
Much more
Essentially, there is a
issue
whole spectrum of testosterone and estrogen, which you have in terms.
Yes, he knows, smiling. He knows that some women who have got high testosterone levels will not be able to compete in certain sports. So it is a nuanced thing. And also, when trans men who are transitioning to women take estrogen, it does actually diminish their muscles and bones. And this is a complicated discussion. But the idea that Piers Morgan is the person to have this discussion is for the birds.
You're a man or woman, and men.
No, you're not. It's complicated. There's non-binary people. And also, people have freedom. They can identify how they want as long as they're not harming others. Also, this is the academic, psychiatric, medical consensus. Trans people are valid. You may not like that, but this is the science. Facts don't care about your feelings.
I think that's the simplistic, stupid argument. If you don't actually look at the information
who are born
and have any nuance or complexity.
If you're born a biological man and you want to identify as a trans woman, you'll have my full respect. You can have exactly the same rights.
You don't sound very respectful.
No, I do.
Insulting.
I've always said I want them to have the exact same rights to fairness, equality, and safety as me. And you.
Do you know how many people in the country?
Well, you don't, because you're saying trans women can't use women's toilets. You actually don't, because you're a fucking coward. Like all trans people, or people who oppose trans people, TERFs, you are fucking cowardly. You cannot own your position. Oh, I don't care about trans people. Okay, why do you go on about them so much? And then, I don't, I want trans people to have rights. Let them have rights then, you fucking idiot.
You care about this when you poll them. Less than 1%.
Why is Donald
It's interesting that we talk about it so much. What's going on in there?
Because he's a cunt.
Why is Donald Trump?
Could it be that we're trying to distract?
Because people... Well, he's so fucking unpopular now. People thought, yeah, make America great again, based on him being funny. And then they go, oh, no, actually, he's cutting Medicaid, increasing public spending. He's cutting my social security and deporting people illegally. And they go, oh, no, maybe I don't like this. Maybe. Fucking hell.
the wealth of multimillionaires and billionaires, the fact that people are homeless, the fact that people are struggling on the street by talking about trans people.
Honestly,
when they're more victims.
He knows. He knows. Of course he knows. He's a fucking grifter. He knows this. This is why he's been, no, I'd love talking about inequality and the cost of living crisis and the disparity in wealth that has, just been getting worse over the last 40 years. Oh, no. Trans people. Oh, I care about trans. Oh, yeah, it's all about trans people. Fucking hell.
Oh,
Inequality
Zack,
itself.
do me a favor.
We should be talking
He knows. Look at the smile.
about the inequality.
You
not
should
this
be
culture
standing,
war.
if you want to leave.
He knows what he's fucking doing. And people buy this shit. People think that somehow that trans people, immigrants, Muslims are the problem. No. Piers Morgan and his demagogue friends are the problem. He's friends with Donald Trump, a rapist.
If you want to leave, you might think defending women's rights is bollocks.
No,
and I will
defending women's rights.
No, straw man. No, he is defending women's rights. You're the one trying to undermine them, saying that trans women can't use women's bathrooms. Why? There's no evidence that trans women are somehow attacking cis women. Also, that's illegal. It's already illegal. You can't do that.
Is really, really important, but we're not defending women's rights.
You don't want to. You don't want to
We're in
defend
this
them.
silly culture war discussion that isn't defending.
He knows. He's smiling. He's like, oh God, I've been caught with my pants down. Oh, I've got no arguments.
Women's rights.
You want to
Let's talk
trash
about the
women's
police
rights.
force who are institutionally
How then? Like, no arguments. Fucking pathetic.
misogynistic and sexist. Let's have a conversation about that.
It's a different
That's about
issue.
women's rights. That's
Different
not
issue.
about trans rights.
Okay, but actually, you want to trample on women's rights in sport.
No, I don't at all.
You said you're fine with biological men competing in women's
Because
sport.
a trans
No, you didn't
woman
say
is a
that.
woman, so I'm not trampling on their rights.
But
What I'm doing is defending
the
their
UK
rights.
Supreme Court has established that a male is a male and a female is a female.
Yeah. They're wrong.
UK Supreme Court, its
they
job
wrong?
is to look at... Yeah, of course they're wrong. Their
They're
job
wrong.
is to look
Of
at
course
what's
they're
been
fucking wrong.
legislated for. The legislation is wrong, and we should get better parliamentarians who actually stand by trans people.
Do you think a woman
recognise they're a marginalised group in this country who are being bullied by people like you, Piers,
I'm not a
with
bully.
wealth
No,
and
I'm not a
power,
bully. I stand
who
up-
should know better
Okay.
than to target these people rather than targeting the actual problem in this
Can a
country.
woman have a penis?
Yes.
Based as fuck. Based as fuck.
It's going to take them a long time on the national...
Okay.
The fact that he doesn't understand that shows how fucking dumb this guy is. Yes, a woman, which is a gender, can have a penis. It is simple. And if you can't understand this fact, why do you have a TV show? Why has he got a platform? This is basic stuff.
service to get rid of it, but that's another separate problem.
All right. I think we'll leave it on a woman can have a penis. People can
I think you're lacking nuance and complexity about a pretty
Not
complicated
really. You couldn't have been
conversation.
clearer.
I'm clear because actually when you want to look at the science...
You were crystal clear. Ask a simple question.
But you're laughing at
It's not a simple question. It's a complicated question. But he's just not interested in nuance or science or evidence. It's all feelings like, women can't have a penis. Yes, they can.
Which I think demeans
think it's
trans people.
absolutely ridiculous.
What have you got against trans people? Why are you punching down? Why are you not saying
There's nothing against
the real
trans
problem
people.
in
I've
this
already
country?
told you that I think trans
You
people...
sound like you have a huge problem with trans people.
Yes, he does,
no,
obviously.
it sounds to me like you don't understand what a woman is, which I think is a huge problem for someone leading a party in this country.
A woman is a gender.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You said what's a woman?
No,
a woman is a
a
gender.
biological
and gender
female.
is complicated.
No.
No, it's not. That's why we have female biology, gender, psychology, social expectations. Know the difference, Piers. You have no... Why is he having an opinion on this when he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about?
Gender is a spectrum.
It's not complicated. A woman is a
Is
biological
gender a spectrum? Is it that binary?
Do you think people are born male and female?
Not necessarily.
No.
Thoroughly.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think
No, some people are born intersex. Fucking idiot. See, he knows he's so fucking dumb. Like, he has opinions based on no knowledge of the science.
more complicated than
It's
that.
not more complicated,
Well,
Zach.
it's not more complicated than that if you're a TV show host who wants to make it binary and ridiculous.
Zach, you're going to have
but
to
actually,
work
if you
this
want to
stuff
have a
out, mate, 'cause
nuanced
let me tell you.
conversation that actually reflects
You
science
know, when I asked you if you
and
wanted to be
information,
when I asked you if you want to be prime minister, there is not a cat in hell's chance of you ever becoming prime minister if you don't know what a woman is.
well,
He knows what a woman is. You don't know what a woman is.
you'll see us going up in the polls. We're the most favourable party in London right now, so let's see about
Why don't you
that, Piers.
start going out tomorrow with your big campaign that women can have penises?
I'm going to be
See
going
how
out
you get-
tomorrow with my
see
big
how you get
campaign
on.
about inequality in this country
Sure.
between the multimillionaires and billionaires and
When
working class
people see
communities
you
who are really
say to
suffering.
me, women have a penis,
Well, because you're
see how
trying
it
to
plays out.
distract from
Yeah,
inequality.
exactly. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to talk about that. He doesn't. It's like, oh, I've got this gotcha. Can women have a penis? Yes, they can. Move on. Can we talk about inequality now? No. Let's talk about this because I have no arguments and I'm a mouthpiece for the establishment because I don't want to tax my friends.
And actually, I
Not
think
really,
most people
just asking you
don't care
questions.
about the conversation.
If you
we've had.
want to be Prime
they
Minister,
just care about the fact they want to put food on the table. heat in
you
their
are a
homes,
fast
and that's
emerging.
trans people
You
as
are
well.
you are a fast emerging politician in this country. I am perfectly entitled to ask you what you believe.
You're absolutely entitled,
And
and
you've
people are
been
entitled to
crystal clear
see the
what you believe.
ludicrousness of these questions, rather than tackling the inequality and the fact we're not funding a national health service, the fact we've got schools crumbling, the fact that people are struggling to put food on the table. That's what people are worried about, not trans people.
Okay. Actually, they're worried about women's rights.
I'm worried about women's rights too, but as I said, I offered several times to talk about the police force. I offered several times to talk about the inequality
No,
pay
you
gap.
want to talk about
I've
other
offered-
things. I get that.
I want to talk about women's rights. Let's have a conversation about women's rights, but
just
let's
did.
not talk about trans women
But
specifically.
you think women have penises?
You had said to me, can a woman have a penis?
Yeah.
And I said, yes. So if they're transitioning,
But
for
it's bull-
instance,
it's
then of course a
bullshit.
woman can have a penis.
It's complete
When were
bullshit.
you a doctor or an expert in women's rights
The
or
UK Supreme
science?
Court has made it crystal clear.
But that's
what a
not the
woman is.
Supreme Court's job. The Supreme Court's job is to look at legislation
the law
and
of
then
a
make a
man.
legal ruling.
Okay. So you know more than the Supreme Court.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, actually, in this case, yes, I do.
Zack Polanski, it's good to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, Piers. That was a
And
pleasure.
best of luck.
Fucking hell. There's literally, Piers has nothing there. All he can talk about is trans people because he doesn't want to talk about inequality, the cost of living crisis, the massive disparity between the top and the bottom. He can't have that conversation because when you have that conversation, it all falls apart. The culture war, the obsession with vegan sausage rolls and stop the boats, it all falls apart because then you're having the real conversation. This is why Zack is such a threat to these people. They can't have this conversation because they like it. They thrive with it. He doesn't care. That's his job. Is all deflection. So, you know what I'm going to say. Join the Green Party. They're at 95,000 members. Let's get them to 100,000 by the end of today, Friday. And let's get them past the Liberal Democrats, the Conservatives, and Reform UK. Let's do it. Join. Solidarity. Let's bring the left together for once. And I'll see you in the next video.